All right, today for Song of the Day, we're looking at Busta Rhymes, a classic song by him featuring Mystikal as they attempt to answer a question that is not at all rhetorical but very practical in nature. Is they wildin' with us and getting rowdy with us? And by the end of the song, the answer is certainly yes. So Busta Rhymes, if you know one thing about him, you probably know that he raps very quickly. That's kind of his trademark, especially kind of early in his career, which is when this album is from. And it's always interesting to me when Busta Rhymes collaborates with people. There's kind of two directions where it goes, and one is that the collaboration will try to like contrast Busta by kind of having him as this explosively fast element in his song in their song, or they try to match his energy, either his speed or just his kind of bombastic power. And both of those can work really well, but the latter definitely has a shot of being just kind of like embarrassing. I think if other rappers try to do their own kind of Busta mode, uh, nobody can really do it like him. And this track is like a very rare exception where I actually feel like Busta gets out busted. Um, and it's not for lack of trying on his part. So genius coming through here with the calculation I didn't know I needed. Mystikal raps at 375.8 syllables per minute, which is pretty amazing. Busta goes, I believe, even faster at 421 syllables per minute. But what amazes me more than just the actual speed and finesse and dexterity of rapping that quickly is the energy that's put into it. That it's not just that they're rapping that fast, which like every nerd in suburban U.S. with a webcam tried to do at some point. The sort of things that make people say Tech Nine is like the greatest rapper of all time or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I think rapping very fast is sometimes incredibly hype in and of itself, and it's super impressive, but it's so different than what these rappers are able to do here. Like the way this verse starts is insane with so many internal rhymes. Like each line rhymes with itself and with the previous lines like two or three times. And even just trying to describe them in this sentence has caused me involuntarily to say a bunch of rhyming words. And then I love that it goes harder and harder and harder through this entire part, faster and faster, more lyrically dense, more rhythmically and assonantly dense. At the end, uh, where is it? Oh, I thought he said they're still trying to figure out what I say. Then, anyways, I thought he always said you're still trying to figure out what I said. Like you're still trying to figure out what I said in these previous lines. But I don't know. Maybe that's not what they actually said. But I just love I like the idea of them acknowledging that they're actually just going like too fast now. That it's actually becoming nearly incomprehensible. That you're still trying to figure out. But it is like intelligible like once you have the ear for it, like once you've been able to perceive the speed at which these warriors are fighting. It's really some Dragon Ball type of shit. um it's so crazy just even seeing these lines. I can't help but hear involuntarily the way he just spits them and shouts them out. So even though Busta goes faster on this one, it feels like he's forced his hand to do so, which is pretty insane. The kind of pure energy flow that Mystical here it has is actually just it doesn't seem like it's humanly possible. It's a feat of strength and endurance that I did not think the human body was actually capable of. It sounds like I might be exaggerating. It sounds like I'm maybe blowing it out of proportion, but no, it's actually just as crazy, or if not much more crazy than I'm making it out. I love the drama that builds into it. The way the beat comes on with this like kind of failing guitar chord that it's not plugged in right, and Bust saying fix that guitar shit, and then this yeah time 25x. You know what you're in for. That they take so long just kind of ruminating on the beat, just kind of building up this idea of how much they're actually going to challenge it and match it, because the beat itself is this like really wonderful fast little guitar run, with like a few more elongated things underneath, but they give such focus to the fast guitar playing that you're like, oh wait a minute, like that's actually the rhythmic key to this song. That's where they're actually going to land. So this whole intro is just sort of like feeling out that space, such that when Mystikal actually just suddenly ramps up into top speed, um, it's like less surprising that he's going that fast, and because you've like anticipated that speed, the explosiveness of the flow and the delivery is like doubly affecting. Do you know what I mean? Busta's verse has less of the sheer energy, and it's more about something that Busta has always been like insanely good at, where the faster he goes, the more like precisely enunciated everything becomes. And he almost adapts like this sort of conversational tone that seems at odds with how quickly he's rapping and the sort of things he's saying. His signature, I can't count the number of Busta Rhymes songs where he says, anyway, we still whatever. And it's just kind of like added syllables to make his verses even more syllable dense. But it has this like really insane conversational feel, where it feels like even at this level, even at this intense high speed, he's just still kind of like casually shouting, anyways, you know, we still double masking. And then like the way his flow has this like very dynamic sense of enjambment and stopping, that here this is like a classic. You have like long lines, plan generate sufficient ability to cost many lands, generate the heat, place radiate when it should have dropped it with quake. You want to still keep it. It's like all long lines, and then for a section it breaks down. And knowing these things, like it's just boom, boom, boom. I don't know. You'll have to listen to it because it's really embarrassing for me to try to like capture the rhythmic sense of it just on my own. Or like the incredible enjambment here, to just give this break. Like you'll hear exactly where the enjambment is here, and even this as well. These lines have kind of this weird staccato rubato feeling too, where he starts slowing down, but the syllables are still hitting as quickly. They're just like more spaced out. And again, it has this sense of like almost like a contemplative energy, where he's like making very clear what he's saying, that there's like kind of precise instructions that he'd like you to follow. I don't know. It really shows, I think, the true power of rapping really, really quickly. That I think rappers who are solely famous for rapping quickly fail to generate, which is that you have to demonstrate like a freedom at this pace. It can't just be that you've accelerated to this pace and then you can only just spit syllables as quickly as you can at that speed. Like, sure, that's cool too. And it kind of reminds me of like in the groove or DDR or whatever, when you're streaming, which is just like continually hitting notes very fast. Whereas what you really want is to be able to hit those top speeds, but then vary it freely, and to be able to hit any subset, any slower rhythm within that, and make it sound natural because you've already defined all of this rhythmic space, if you know what I mean. So it's less about just like flooring it the entire verse, and more about having that freedom to just, I don't know. It's so great. It's such a fantastic song, and describing it just feels so futile when you can just scroll down and listen to it. So I hope you can kind of see the genius of the finesse in this one. And I just really like this idea of the freedom that is unlocked by speed. Or maybe Melee is a good example too. In Melee, when you're capable of going fast, it's not that you actually just want to go fast all the time. It's not just you're just multi-shining over and over and over again. But that you just have the ability to put on the max speed when it benefits you, and that everything else is so trivial for you that you can do it casually, conversationally, you know? now I've made reference to two video games that I'm both very much into. So for all of you that fall into the Venn diagram, it still contains competitive melee, competitive dancing games, and Busta Rhymes' early career. I hope this has been illustrative, and I'll see you next time. All right.